Are you feeling adrift in the currents of change, perhaps even overwhelmed by the storms that life inevitably brings? There's a profound, quiet strength already within you, a way to not just endure, but to genuinely flourish. Please, stay with me until the very end, because the final understanding we'll uncover together is the most transformative key to unlocking this resilience: inner stillness. When the world outside feels like a raging storm, when uncertainty clouds every horizon and the ground beneath our feet seems to shift, where do we typically turn for solace, for answers? So often, our instinct is to look externally, searching for something or someone to calm the tempest for us, to provide a swift solution that makes the discomfort vanish. But the ancient wisdom, the insights passed down through countless generations of those who have navigated immense challenges and sought enduring peace, consistently points us in a different direction. The primary journey is inward. The storm may indeed rage, the winds may howl with ferocity, and the waves of circumstance may crash relentlessly against our perceived shores of security, but deep within each and every one of us, there exists an untapped potential for profound stillness. Imagine a quiet, unshakable center that can remain utterly untouched by the chaos, much like the serene depths of the great ocean are undisturbed by the most violent turbulence on its surface. Consider for a moment your mind as a vast, tranquil lake. When the winds of daily stress, the sudden gales of fear, or the persistent chilling drizzle of anxiety blow across its surface, the water inevitably becomes agitated, its surface choppy, and the reflections of the world it mirrors become distorted, fragmented, and unclear. In such a state of inner turmoil, how can we possibly hope to see with clarity? How can we find the genuine lasting peace that our hearts so deeply yearn for? Attempting to fight the wind itself, to command the external forces of life to cease their blowing, is often an exhausting and ultimately futile endeavor. We cannot always control the intricate weather patterns of our existence, can we? The seasons of life change, storms gather and eventually pass. This is the fundamental nature of our shared human experience. But what if instead of battling the external, we could learn to allow the sediment, the stirred up mud, the debris of past hurts and future worries within that lake of our mind, to gently, naturally settle on its own? The practice, the pathway towards this profound settling, often begins with something so exquisitely simple, so absolutely fundamental to our very being, yet so frequently overlooked and undervalued in the frantic, relentless pace of our modern lives: the breath. Your breath is a remarkable, ever-present anchor. It is always with you, a constant, reliable rhythm in the intricate symphony of your existence, from your very first moment of life until your very last. When you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed, when the rising waves of emotion threaten to pull you under into despair or panic, try, with gentle intention, to bring your awareness softly, without any force or judgment, to your breath. Simply notice the subtle physical sensation of the air entering your nostrils, perhaps feeling cool as it comes in, observing how it fills your lungs, gently expanding your chest and abdomen, and then notice the complete, surrendering release as it leaves your body, perhaps a little warmer now. Don't try to change your breath in any way. Don't judge it as good or bad, shallow or deep. Just observe it as it is. This simple yet profound act of focused observation, of mindful breathing, begins to calm the ripples on the surface of your mental lake. It creates a small, precious, and sacred space, a pause, between you, the conscious observer, and the swirling storm of your thoughts and emotions. In that quiet, emergent space, clarity can begin to blossom, much like the sun appearing through a welcome break in dense storm clouds, illuminating the path forward. It's crucial to understand that this is not about achieving an empty mind, which is a common misconception that can unfortunately lead to a great deal of frustration and a feeling of failure in practice. The mind's inherent nature is to think, to produce thoughts, just as the heart's nature is to beat and the lungs' nature is to breathe. The ultimate goal isn't to somehow stop the flow of thoughts, which is nearly impossible, but rather to fundamentally change our relationship with them. It's about learning not to be swept away by every single thought, every fleeting emotion, as if we were a tiny, rudderless boat tossed helplessly on a vast and stormy sea. It's about cultivating the capacity to become the calm, compassionate observer of your own thoughts, watching them arise, noticing their content and charge, and then allowing them to pass without getting hopelessly entangled in their narratives or dramas. This is akin to sitting peacefully on the bank of a flowing river and watching leaves float by. You acknowledge their presence, their shape, their color, but you don't feel compelled to jump into the cold river to chase after each and every one. This practice of disidentification, of gentle detachment, is a cornerstone of discovering and nurturing inner peace. When you are no longer buffeted by every gust of thought or every surge of feeling, you begin to discover a profound and resilient stability within yourself. This cultivated inner stillness, this hard-won state of calm, is far from being a passive, withdrawn, or disengaged state of being. On the contrary, it is a dynamic wellspring of immense inner strength, clarity, and enduring resilience. When you are truly still, when the relentless internal chatter begins to subside, even for brief moments, you can start to hear the subtle, often ignored whispers of your own intuition. The quiet, guiding voice of your innate wisdom that is so very often drowned out by the deafening cacophony of panic, fear, doubt, or despair. It's like standing upon a high mountain pass. From that elevated and expansive vantage point, you can see the entire landscape stretching out before you, the lay of the land, the various potential paths through the difficulties, the obstacles and the openings, much more clearly and objectively than when you are lost, disoriented, and stumbling in the dense, dark, and confusing forest far below. Cultivating this invaluable stillness requires dedicated, consistent practice, unwavering patience with the process, and a gentle, compassionate persistence with yourself, especially on days when the mind feels particularly turbulent. Remember, progress is not always linear. There will be days when the waters of your mind are more agitated than others. This is perfectly normal and part of the human condition. The key is to return to your chosen practice again and again, with kindness and without self-recrimination. This return to center might be facilitated through periods of silent sitting meditation, focusing on the breath or bodily sensations, or perhaps it comes through mindful, flowing movements like those found in Tai Chi or Qigong, which harmonize body and mind. It could even be experienced by focusing your complete, undivided attention on a simple, ordinary daily task, like washing dishes with full awareness, or walking in nature and truly noticing the sights, sounds, and smells around you. The specific method you choose is ultimately less important than the underlying intention you bring to it. The intention to consistently and lovingly find that quiet, resourceful place within yourself, to return to your center, your core, your authentic being. This is not about escaping the often harsh realities of life. Rather, it's about grounding yourself so firmly and deeply in your inner being that you can face whatever reality presents itself, however challenging it may be, with a composed spirit, an open and courageous heart, and a clear, discerning mind. The more turbulent and unpredictable the times become, the more profoundly essential this inner sanctuary is. It becomes your inviolable refuge, your sustainable and renewable source of genuine power, and your unwavering, luminous guide through even the darkest and most disorienting of nights, allowing you to navigate with grace and fortitude. Accepting change. One of the most profound shifts we can make, especially when facing hardship, is to cultivate a deeper understanding and acceptance of impermanence. Everything changes. This is not a pessimistic view, it is a realistic one. And in this reality, there is a hidden freedom. Think of a mighty river. It flows constantly, its waters never the same from one moment to the next. If you try to build a dam to stop it completely, the pressure builds, and eventually the dam may break, causing even greater turmoil. But if you learn to flow with the river, to navigate its currents, even its rapids, you harness its energy. Hard times are like these strong currents. Our suffering often arises not from the change itself, but from our resistance to it, our desperate clinging to how things were, or our rigid insistence on how they should be. When we fight against the natural flow of life, we exhaust ourselves. We create friction, tension, and distress. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation or passivity. It doesn't mean we approve of difficult circumstances or that we shouldn't strive to improve things where we can. Rather, it means acknowledging the reality of the present moment without overlaying it with our judgments, our fears, or our desires for it to be different. It's like acknowledging the weather. If it is raining, it is raining. Wishing it wasn't, or getting angry about the rain, doesn't stop the rain, but it does cause us inner discomfort. When we can look at a difficult situation and say, this is what is happening right now, without immediately adding layers of, this is terrible, I can't handle this, or why me, we create a space. In this space, we can breathe. In this space, wisdom can arise. This is the beginning of working with the change, rather than being crushed by it. Think of a tree in a strong wind. The branches that are rigid and resist the wind are the ones that snap. The branches that are flexible, that bend and sway with the wind, are the ones that endure. Our minds can be like this. If we hold on to fixed expectations, rigid beliefs about how life must unfold, we become brittle. When challenges come, as they inevitably do, these rigid structures within us are prone to breaking, leading to disappointment, bitterness, or despair. But if we cultivate mental flexibility, an openness to new possibilities, an understanding that plans may need to adapt, we become more resilient. We can bend without breaking. This doesn't mean abandoning our values or our goals, but it means being willing to find new paths towards them, paths we might not have considered before the storm arrived. This acceptance of impermanence also applies to our inner states, our thoughts and emotions. Just as external circumstances change, so too do our feelings. A moment of sadness, of fear, of anger is just that, a moment. It will pass, like a cloud moving across the sky if we allow it to. But if we cling to it, if we replay it, if we build stories around it and identify with it completely, I am a sad person, rather than I am experiencing sadness right now, then we prolong its stay. We give it more power than it intrinsically has. Learning to observe our emotions without judgment, to acknowledge their presence and then let them flow through us, is a key aspect of accepting change. It's like standing on the seashore and watching the waves come in and go out. Some waves are small and gentle, others are large and powerful. We don't try to stop the waves. We simply observe their rhythm, their power, their eventual receding. This ability to be with our inner experience, whatever it is, without getting swept away by it, is a profound strength. It allows us to navigate the emotional landscape of hard times with greater equanimity. Furthermore, embracing impermanence helps us to appreciate the present moment more fully. If we understand that everything is transient, then the good moments become more precious, and the difficult moments become more bearable, knowing they too will pass. This isn't about ignoring pain or difficulty. It's about contextualizing it within the larger flow of life. When you are in a dark tunnel, the knowledge that there is light at the end of it, that the tunnel itself is not permanent, can give you the strength to keep moving forward. So how do we cultivate this acceptance? It begins with awareness, with noticing our resistance when it arises, noticing the shoulds and shouldn'ts that dominate our thinking. It involves gently questioning our attachments. It involves practicing letting go, not just of material things, but of fixed ideas, of past grievances, of future anxieties. It's a continuous practice, a journey of softening our grip on life, and in that softening, finding a more profound and adaptable way to live, to thrive, even when the currents are strong and the way forward is unclear. This embrace of flow is not weakness. It is the highest form of intelligent adaptation, allowing us to meet life on its own terms with grace, inner strength. Within the crucible of difficult times lies an extraordinary opportunity, the chance to discover and cultivate a depth of inner strength we never knew we possessed. This strength isn't about aggression or brute force. It's a quiet, resilient power, like the deep roots of an ancient tree that hold it firm even in the fiercest gales. It's a fortitude forged in the fires of adversity, a capacity to endure, to adapt, and ultimately to grow. But this strength doesn't just appear magically when needed. It is cultivated intentionally through practice, through discipline, and through a conscious choice to meet challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for inner development. One of the foundational pillars of this inner strength is self-discipline. Now, discipline is often misunderstood as harsh self-punishment or rigid adherence to joyless rules. But in its truest sense, discipline is about training. It's about consciously choosing actions that align with our deepest values and our long-term well-being, even when those actions are difficult or uncomfortable in the moment. Think of a martial artist. Their skill, their power, their grace are not accidents. They are the result of countless hours of dedicated, disciplined practice, repeating movements, refining techniques, pushing past perceived limits. In the context of thriving in hard times, this discipline might manifest in maintaining a simple daily routine, even when motivation is low. It could be the discipline to engage in regular physical exercise, which not only strengthens the body, but also clears the mind and uplifts the spirit. It could be the discipline of mindful consumption, being conscious of what we feed our minds through media and conversations, choosing nourishment over negativity. It could be the discipline of consistent contemplative practice, whether meditation, prayer, or quiet reflection, to keep our inner compass calibrated. These small, consistent acts of self-discipline build a powerful momentum. They are like small deposits into an account of inner resilience. Each time you choose the more challenging, but ultimately more beneficial path, you are strengthening your willpower muscle. You are proving to yourself that you are capable of guiding your own actions rather than being solely at the mercy of your fleeting moods or external pressures. This sense of inner agency is profoundly empowering, especially when external circumstances feel chaotic and beyond our control. Another vital aspect of inner strength is resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to recover from adversity. Resilience isn't about avoiding falls. It's about how we get up after we fall. It's about learning from our mistakes and failures rather than being defined by them. Every challenge we face, every difficulty we navigate, carries within it a lesson if we are open to receiving it. When we encounter a setback, it's natural to feel disappointment, frustration, or even despair. But if we can pause, reflect, and ask, what can I learn from this? How can this experience make me stronger or wiser? Then the adversity itself becomes a teacher. This requires courage. The courage to face our vulnerabilities, to acknowledge our imperfections, and to keep striving even when the path is arduous. It's like tempering steel. The metal is heated in the fire, then plunged into cold water, beaten and shaped. This process is intense, but it's what gives the steel its strength and flexibility. Our challenges are the fire and water that temper our spirit, if we allow them to. We emerge from these experiences not unscathed, perhaps, but certainly stronger, more capable, and with a deeper understanding of our own capacities. This inner strength is also deeply connected to our perspective. How we frame our difficulties significantly impacts our ability to cope with them. If we see ourselves as helpless victims of circumstance, then we disempower ourselves. But if we can reframe challenges as tests of our character, as opportunities to practice our values, as catalysts for growth, then we tap into a different kind of energy. This doesn't mean pretending that pain isn't real or that hardship isn't difficult. It means choosing to focus on what we can control. Our responses, our attitudes, our actions, rather than dwelling on what we cannot. It's about finding the seed of opportunity within every difficulty. Viktor Frankl, who endured unimaginable horrors in concentration camps, spoke of the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. This power of choice, this ability to find meaning even in suffering, is perhaps the ultimate expression of inner strength. It is the light that can guide us through the darkest of times, reminding us that even when stripped of everything else, our inner spirit, our capacity to choose our response, remains inviolable. This strength is not about being unbreakable, but about being able to mend, to learn, and to continue the journey with renewed purpose. True purpose. In the midst of hardship, when the superficial layers of our lives are stripped away, we are often confronted with fundamental questions about meaning and purpose. What truly matters? What is the driving force that gives our life significance, especially when faced with adversity? Finding or reconnecting with a sense of true purpose can be an incredibly powerful anchor, providing not just motivation, but also a profound sense of direction and resilience. This purpose doesn't have to be grandiose or world-changing in an external sense. Often, the most potent purposes are found in simple, heartfelt commitments to our loved ones, to our community, to our values, or to a cause greater than ourselves. When our actions are aligned with a deeply felt purpose, even difficult tasks can feel meaningful. It's the difference between laboring under a heavy burden and carrying that same burden with the knowledge that it contributes to something you deeply care about. The why behind our efforts can transform the experience of the what. Think of a parent caring for a sick child. The work is exhausting, demanding, and emotionally draining. Yet, the love for the child, the purpose of nurturing and healing, provides an immense wellspring of strength and perseverance. Hard times have a way of clarifying our values. The things that once seemed important, perhaps material possessions, status, or fleeting pleasures, can fade into the background when we are grappling with significant challenges. What often emerges with greater clarity is the importance of human connection, compassion, kindness, and integrity. Our true purpose is often interwoven with these fundamental human values. It might be found in being a source of support and comfort for others who are also struggling. It might be found in contributing our unique skills and talents, however modest they may seem, to make a positive difference in some small way. It could be the purpose of personal growth, of striving to become a better, wiser, more compassionate human being through the very trials we are enduring. This search for meaning is not an intellectual exercise, it's a heartfelt exploration. It involves listening to the quiet nudges of our conscience, paying attention to what genuinely moves us, what ignites a spark of passion or a sense of responsibility within us. It's about asking not just, what can I get from life, but what can I give to life? One of the most powerful ways to connect with purpose is through service to others. When we shift our focus from our own suffering to alleviating the suffering of someone else, something remarkable happens. Our own problems may not disappear, but they often diminish in their perceived weight and intensity. Helping others connects us to our shared humanity, reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, and provides a tangible sense of making a difference. This service doesn't need to be a formal undertaking. It can be as simple as offering a listening ear to a friend, sharing a resource with a neighbor, or volunteering time for a local cause. These acts of kindness and generosity ripple outwards, creating positive effects not only for the receiver, but also for the giver. They reinforce our sense of interconnectedness and provide a profound feeling of fulfillment that material success alone can rarely offer. In times of crisis, we often see communities coming together, people helping strangers, and this collective sense of purpose can be incredibly uplifting and empowering for everyone involved. Furthermore, true purpose is often discovered not in avoiding difficulty, but in how we meet it. The purpose might be to maintain our integrity in the face of pressure, to speak truth when it is unpopular, to show courage when fear is rampant, or to cultivate compassion even for those who cause us pain. These are not easy paths, but they are paths that forge character and imbue life with a deep sense of dignity. Our purpose can also be deeply personal, related to our own journey of healing and self-discovery. Perhaps the hard times are an invitation to confront old wounds, to break free from limiting patterns, or to develop qualities like patience, forgiveness, or gratitude. When we see our challenges through this lens, they cease to be mere afflictions and become, instead, integral parts of our unique curriculum for growth. Ultimately, true purpose is not something that is handed to us. It is something we actively create and choose, moment by moment, through our intentions, our actions, and our responses to life's unfolding. It is the inner compass that guides us, not necessarily to an easy life, but to a meaningful one. A life where even in the darkest valleys, we can find a light to follow, a reason to keep moving forward with heart and with hope. This unwavering North Star is what allows us to thrive, not just survive. Simple ways. In our complex, often overwhelming modern world, particularly when faced with significant challenges, there is a profound wisdom and a surprising strength to be found in embracing simplicity. Hard times often act as a powerful filter, stripping away the non-essential and revealing what truly sustains us. When we intentionally simplify our lives, we reduce external dependencies, lessen potential sources of stress, and create more space for inner peace and genuine contentment. This doesn't necessarily mean renouncing all worldly comforts or living a life of extreme asceticism unless that is one's chosen path. For most, it's about a conscious re-evaluation of our needs versus our wants, and a deliberate move towards a life that is less cluttered, both externally and internally. Consider the sheer volume of material possessions many of us accumulate. Each item requires energy to acquire, to maintain, to store, and eventually to dispose of. While some things are necessary and genuinely enhance our lives, many others are simply distractions or attempts to fill an inner void. Letting go of superfluous belongings can be incredibly liberating, creating not just physical space but mental space as well. A simpler environment often leads to a calmer mind. This principle of simplicity extends beyond the physical. It applies to our commitments, our schedules, and even our information intake. Are we constantly overscheduled, rushing from one activity to another, feeling perpetually busy yet unfulfilled? Simplifying our commitments might mean learning to say no more often, prioritizing activities that genuinely nourish us or align with our core values, and leaving more unstructured time for rest, reflection, or spontaneous connection. In an age of information overload, simplifying our media consumption can also be crucial. Constant exposure to negative news, social media comparisons, or sensationalized content can significantly impact our mental and emotional well-being. Choosing to be more selective about what information we allow into our minds, perhaps dedicating specific times for news and consciously seeking out uplifting or constructive content, can protect our inner peace and reduce anxiety. It's about becoming a mindful gatekeeper of our own attention, which is one of our most precious resources. Moreover, simplicity often leads us to rediscover joy in the ordinary everyday experiences that we might have previously overlooked. A quiet walk in nature, the taste of a simple, home-cooked meal, a heartfelt conversation with a loved one, the beauty of a sunrise or sunset, these are profound sources of joy that cost nothing and are always available. When we are less focused on acquiring or achieving the next big thing, we become more present to the small wonders that surround us. This cultivation of gratitude for the simple gifts of life is a powerful antidote to dissatisfaction and a cornerstone of resilience. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, fostering a sense of abundance even amid scarcity. When external circumstances are difficult, finding beauty and joy in simple things can be a lifeline, a reminder that even in challenging times, there is still goodness and light to be found. This doesn't negate the hardship, but it provides a necessary balance and a source of inner sustenance. Ultimately, embracing simpler ways is about aligning our outer life with our inner values, creating a life that is authentic and sustainable. It's about understanding that true wealth is not measured by what we own, but by our inner freedom, our quality of connection, and our capacity for peace. During hard times, the allure of external solutions and complicated strategies can be strong. Yet often the most effective path forward lies in returning to basics, in simplifying our approach, and in drawing upon the timeless wisdom that less can indeed be more. By consciously choosing simplicity, we reduce the friction in our lives, conserve our energy for what truly matters, and cultivate a deep sense of inner contentment that is not dependent on external circumstances. This deliberate path towards a less encumbered existence can free up enormous reserves of energy and attention, allowing us to navigate challenges with greater clarity, resourcefulness, and a profound sense of inner stability, which is essential for not just surviving, but truly thriving. This quiet path holds immense power. The journey through difficult times is deeply personal, yet universally shared. It is in these moments of trial that our true character is revealed and forged. The strength we seek is not an absence of fear or pain, but the courage to meet them with an open heart and a steady mind. Remember that within you lies an unshakable core of stillness, an innate capacity to accept and flow with change, and the power to cultivate profound inner strength. Your true purpose often shines brightest when the path is darkest, guiding you towards what truly matters. And in the embrace of simpler ways, you find a quiet, resilient joy. The final insight, the golden thread weaving through all of this, is that you are far more resourceful and resilient than you currently believe. The capacity to thrive is not something you acquire. It is something you uncover within your own being, through practice, through awareness, and through a compassionate connection with yourself and the world. Trust this inner wisdom. It will not fail you. This was so incredibly insightful. I've been feeling so lost lately, and this message about finding stillness and strength within, especially the part about accepting change, really hit home. Thank you for sharing this wisdom. It feels like a guiding light.